First-person shooters are often the center of criticism and controversy due to their inherently violent nature. But some FPS games went above and beyond in the offense category, if you will, and actually ended up getting themselves banned in certain parts of the world. What is up, everybody? Chaos here. Today we're going to be checking out 10 first-person shooters, FPS games, that have actually been banned. You guys be sure to let me know in the comments which of these you've played, which ones you never got to play because they're not even available anymore. Drop a like and do me a favor, really fast. If you guys want to become a member of Team Chaos, the link is at the top of the description. Click it, pick your tier, and join Team Chaos. We live stream almost every single day. There's member benefits and perks. There's a Team Chaos partner Discord server. It's a ton of fun. I would love to see you guys over there. Now, let's kick things off with PUBG Mobile in India. Do you guys still play PUBG? I mean, it's one of the biggest mobile games in recent gaming history, which was a port of one of the biggest multiplayer games in recent gaming history. PUBG Mobile launched in February of 2018. It was an instant success, but the government of India, they weren't too happy. They didn't like the violence. The court documents also said they believed the game was affecting the minds of the youth, and the game was effectively banned shortly afterwards. Now, weirdly enough, the PC and console versions were not targeted by the ban. So my theory is the mobile version was more accessible, and since it was free to play, the government saw it as more of a problem than a PC or console game that you would have to pay for. Regardless, PUBG Mobile remains banned in India to this day as we make this video. Next up is Aliens vs. Predator 2010 in Germany. Now, AVP 2010 was an average game. It had a few redeeming qualities. The visuals and the lighting were good, and the campaigns were enjoyable, even though they were extremely short. But if you lived in Germany, you probably never got to experience any of it because it was banned very quickly due to its extreme violence. AVP 2010 is one of the most violent games that I've ever seen, and that's saying something. It fully embraces the extremely gory and graphic nature of the predators and the xenomorphs. There's decapitations. You can pull spines out. You can impale people. The list goes on and on. Germany has always been a little touchy about violence in the media, so it wasn't a surprise that AVP was banned almost immediately. The way things work in Germany is bans are normally held for 10 years and then reassessed, so it's totally possible that the ban on AVP could get reversed since it's coming up on its 10-year anniversary. But if you ask me, Sega isn't about to go out of their way to go reassess the game. They probably just forgot about it. At number 8 is Counter-Strike in Brazil. Counter-Strike is one of the biggest FPS franchises in history. It boasts great yet simple tactical shooting that really puts the player's reaction time and strategizing on a fixed display. But the game was banned in Brazil. Aside from being a very bloody game, one of the maps in the original Counter-Strike took place in the Brazilian favela, which the Brazilian government saw as an attempt to bring imminent stimulus to the subversion of social order, attempting against the democratic state and the law and against public security. Woo! Okay. Counter-Strike was banned for sale in Brazil in October of 2007. Thankfully, it didn't last very long, and the ban was lifted in June of 2009 after being challenged in a regional federal court case. Next up is a game that's not going to shock anybody. Postal 2. Specifically Postal 2 in New Zealand. I mean, it got banned almost everywhere. It's widely regarded as one of the most offensive games ever made, which was kind of the point. Released on the PC in 2003, it was a first-person shooter. It had loose story lines, I guess. Super graphic violence and a weirdly ahead of its time sandbox that let you do pretty much anything you wanted to. The game was the center of countless controversies, and it's been banned in multiple countries. New Zealand banned the game rather quickly. The government explained that Postal 2 was banned for gross, aberrant content, urination, high-impact violence, and animal cruelty, and a little bit of other stuff in there. Lots of stuff. It was bad. It was super bad. At number 6, Doom 3, Resurrection of Evil. This was in Germany. This is a little weird because Resurrection of Evil was a standalone expansion for Doom 3. Now, the base game of Doom 3 was never banned in Germany, but apparently, Resurrection of Evil went over the line and crossed it and brought down the ban hammer. The original game in 2004, it came out and it was okay. The Resurrection of Evil came out a year later. It boasted a new campaign that was a sequel to the base game. Plus, it came with the ports of Ultimate Doom and Doom 2. So due to the extreme violence and the abundance of satanic imagery, well, Resurrection of Evil was hit with the ban hammer in Germany upon its release. Like I said earlier, bans last 10 years in Germany before being reevaluated, and as of 2019, the ban on Resurrection of Evil has been lifted, and it is now for sale. So if you're watching this from Germany, and you never got to experience the Doom 3 mini-sequel, now's your time. It's on Steam, and it's super cheap. At number 5, Wolfenstein series in Saudi Arabia. Now, this series has been banned in quite a few countries due to its subject matter after all. It's a series about alternate histories where the regime managed to win the Second World War. However, while doing the research for this video, I found that while the Wolfenstein franchise is banned in Saudi Arabia, it's not for historical elements or the regime imagery or even graphic violence. It was for the you-know-what scenes. If you played it, you're probably scratching your head at this because there's probably a grand total of 3 of them throughout the entire franchise. However, Saudi Arabia takes that stuff seriously, and the series has been banned. Despite being banned, it's not impossible to find copies of the game in Saudi Arabia because the government has a history of not really enforcing video games. And a ban in Saudi Arabia is more like a condemnation than the actual restriction. At number 4, Modern Warfare 2019 in Russia. This one's a little complicated because the game's not officially banned by the Russian government, but Sony refused to sell it in the country. Modern Warfare's campaign focused on a story involving various terror groups, militias, and Russian ultranationalists. Now, when the game was released, there was backlash from the Russian gaming community for how the country was actually portrayed, and it led to a few review bombs. Now, due to freedom of speech being guaranteed by Russia's constitution, the game was not banned. But Sony took it in their own hands and refused to sell the PS4 version of the game in Russia, likely out of fear of backlash. Now, the game is not officially banned, but Sony has kind of acted as a middleman. So I ask you guys, do you have any Russian viewers here you can provide some insight on this? At number 3, and this one was obvious to me, Homefront in South Korea. Now, it was a weird little FPS from 2011 that had an interesting premise, but it was heavily criticized for its uninspired gameplay and abundance of bugs. The story was about North and South Korea unifying to take over the United States, and you were part of a resistance group trying to fight off the occupation. The advertising for Homefront was heavily criticized because it was rather insensitive towards the real-world tensions between these two countries, and the game had to be heavily edited for release in Japan in order to avoid controversy. South Korea, on the other hand, they weren't having it. Due to high tensions between the two countries, South Korean government didn't want a game coming out that showed a unified Korea invading one of their allies, so they banned it. Now, frankly, this was probably for the best, because Homefront, it was a crappy game. But I know somebody in the comments is going to tell me I'm wrong, and it was amazing. At number 2, Half-Life in Singapore. This one shocked me because Half-Life isn't really the kind of game you think about when you're talking about games being ban-worthy, honestly. I know it's violent, the story's pretty dark, but it's nowhere near as bad as most AAA games now. But after a year after the original Half-Life's release, the game was banned for sale in Singapore due to its violence. Now, the ban was met with massive backlash from the gaming community, and a few retailers even started petitions to try to get the government to change their mind, as if this was going to happen. I don't know. It was the same when original Counter-Strike mod was exploding at local gaming cafes and LAN centers. Banning Half-Life would have destroyed these local businesses. Thankfully, it did work, and a week later, the ban was lifted. We're going to end things with Half-Life 2 in Greece. It's another one out there in left field. Most of these bans, I may not agree with them, but I can at least understand the reasoning behind them. But Greece banned Half-Life 2 in 2006 because the game had a dystopian setting. That's it. I don't know what's wrong with dystopian settings in fiction. Plenty of games have these. I don't know why Half-Life was the only one that got banned. Also, Half-Life 2 was pulled from the shelves 2 years after its release. So what happened during those 2 years that made it a problem? I mean, there's not a lot of information on the official reasoning behind this ban, but there has to be more at play than what I'm seeing here. I find it super hard to believe that Greece, a country that rarely censors video games, would pull Half-Life 2 from sale just because of its setting. If anybody knows anything about this ban, you let us know in the comments because I'm actually curious about it. And there you have it. Those are 10 FPS games, franchises, whatever you want to call them, that have been banned in countries. Let me know if you've had any of these games that you never got to play because they were banned. Drop a like, and I'll see you guys soon.